First of all, I'd like to apologize for being very late on my Molly McGee analysis, my Sound Euphonium analysis, my 2008 ranking, and the 2-hour video on Liz and the Bluebird. It's not just that the semester just started and college is weighing on me, but especially in the case of Sound Euphonium and Liz and the Bluebirds, there is so much to dissect that it would take forever to properly get the words on the page. Still, I wanted to get an actual video out by the end of the month at least. Maybe it won't even be August by the time this video comes out. And this month was right when the series finale of Murder Drones just dropped. I made a first impressions video of the pilot a few years back, and now I think is a good time to look back at the series as a whole and examine what I like and don't like about it in quick fashion, because oh my gosh, these are breaking my mind. In a good way. I'm having fun writing these videos. By far, I think Murder Drones' biggest strength is its animation. To this day, I think Murder Drones is still Glitch's prettiest looking show. You can definitely feel the mocap limitations on the pilot, but after Kevin Temmer joined as a lead animator, every fight scene and horrific abomination has been beautiful as well as disgustingly horrifying. That combined with Liam Vickers' delightfully creepy and eerie vision in his atmosphere and characters is brilliant. Just goes to show how much violence and horror you can get away with if your characters aren't technically human. I cite specifically Sin's final form and how much it terrifies you when you realize she's not possessing Tessa, she's wearing her skin. The reveal of the Absolute Solver in episode 2 is also another good example of this series' technical aspects. I've always loved how well directed that entire sequence is. Another thing that also sells the series besides its animation is its music. Ajia-do again proves himself to be a brilliant composer. The horror movie-esque music is serviceable, but it's the battle music that's amazing. The promenade, the scuffle in the woods, the nightcore at the end, the soundtrack plays a massive role in the presentation of these fights, which are also a splendor to look at. So yeah, amazing technical aspects that are some of the best in Glitch's studio, period. And that's really the only thing I genuinely love about it. Don't get me wrong, I still like a lot of things here and there, but I feel like talking about anything else in depth would result in me saying over and over, I like it, but this and that and this and that. And this actually reflects my thoughts on the initial pilot, where I praised the technicalities, but everything else I liked came with an asterisk. Still, I was hoping this would be another Sunset Paradise situation where the series gets better as it goes along, which it kind of does, but not by much, and honestly, not even close to Sunset Paradise or Meta Runner. One thing I said in my 2023 series video was that it felt like each Murder Drones episode started with a terrible first 5 minutes before getting really good. And I think it's because the episode's individual stories don't establish a very clear through line. I know that's a byproduct of the episodes coming out at a slow pace, but when you're binging this series, you really feel the gaps between certain episodes. After episode 1's fantastic ending leaving a lot of intrigue, episode 2 opens with a bafflingly broken dialogue between our three main characters that just feels like they're expositing. The prom, for as great as the fight is, feels like it's introduced out of nowhere and should have been mentioned at least a few times in episode 1 or 2. At the very least, Cabin Fever gave a reason why our characters were on a camping trip, still doesn't mean it needed to happen, and episode 5 is the worst of these, and easily the worst episode in my opinion. The lore is cool, but it takes a long while for N to figure out his situation. We aren't actually explicitly shown what caused N to reboot, and when we finally get to the basement, apparently all we needed to do was look at it and then bada boom, fixed. It's like if in Into the Wand, Star never actually found the thing that doesn't belong, but her wand gets fixed anyway. And it's not just between the episodes, there were times when I thought entire scenes were missing. Now, I'm a huge fan of visual storytelling, but I also feel like too much of it will just feel vague and lazy and like you're leaving scraps of lore and story for the audience to piece together themselves. Murder Drones isn't quite that. It's still got a lot of great visual storytelling, but some of the shots that are meant to engage fan discussion and theorizing ended up feeling like telling a story in the most vague and ambiguous way possible, to the point where some of these plot points felt like they didn't really add anything to the show. For example, the zombie drones tape is an important plot point, but I don't think I've ever heard any of the characters bring it up, let alone say the word zombie. That being said, I've had my fair share of confusing stories in the past that, despite being confusing, I still loved with no problem. Green Snake didn't have a clean story at all, but it's one of my personal favorites from 2021. Recently, Illusion Factory became my biggest example of this kind of thing, but there is definitely a negative to Murder Drones that makes all of those story problems worse. Unfortunately, it's the same problem I had with the pilot those few years back. It's the dialogue. The dialogue is easily the worst part of the show. It is horribly inconsistent and frequently frustrating. There are two parts to MD's dialogue, comedy and story. Usually what I find to be the most enjoyable kind of comedic dialogue is very quick and witty while also doing a bit of characterization. Murder Drones does not do that. A lot of the jokes really hang for long periods of time, only to not be that funny and to not really say anything about the characters. Not that there aren't a few jokes that I genuinely like. And the dialogue that is meant to further the story and the characters is arguably more frustrating because, inversely to the comedy, a lot of it is very blink and you'll miss it exposition that's constantly vague, quiet, or interrupted by other characters. Talking of the characters, collectively, they're fine. It's hard to pick between N and V as a personal favorite because I think V's arc is very well written, but there is also a reason why N is this series' precious poster child. Uzi is a lot for me personally. I do not get anything out of her meta, edgy, rebellious teen persona, and a lot of her quips come off as lame. Also, her arc doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Uzi initially is this shunned kid who is trying to accomplish a singular goal for herself, only to be thrown into the outside world and discover different people and different places that give her a new perspective and allow her to form a found family, something she would never have if she never went outside the doors. And then the finale pulls a complete 180 and Uzi says, "Yeah, we probably should have stayed behind the doors in the first place." Huh? Excuse me? What's the message here? In the realm of glitch protagonists, Uzi easily ranks as my least favorite, but she still functions well enough for this series. Sin is a delight of a villain if you're not using your brain for more than 5 seconds. I absolutely love how evil and grotesque she is. Also, Alana! But honestly, if I were to put any more thought into this character, I would probably need to make an entire other video around my problems with Sin. She's a great villain, but there are a lot of conflicting story issues I see in this gremlin. Also Jay. Oy vey Jay, what a nothing and wasted character. I'm aware that I sound like I'm doing nothing but complaining, but I want to reiterate that I do think Murder Drones is really, really good. I absolutely love the animation and the action and the horror and the music. It's just that a lot of the story and character flaws pile up to a pretty mixed experience. Then again, Liam has written a show and I haven't, and I doubt that my first show would ever be as good as this. It could also just be that this is a genre or a sense of humor that doesn't gel with me personally. Murder Drones is genuinely great, but if you're not a huge fan of it, it's a pretty exhausting watch sometimes. But I am glad that it's working for a lot of other people, and I'm especially glad it's working for fans who came into this without any of the SMG4 baggage. Yeah, don't think you're not off the hook for unceremoniously firing someone who played a huge role in Glitch's establishment. Overall, Murder Drones is pretty good. 7 out of 10. And just because it'll be a while before I get a proper video on another 2024 thing posted, mainly because of these 4, I'll just ramble about other 2024 animated series I've not talked about yet on my channel. Finally got around to watching A Sign of Affection and Hazbin Hotel. While they're both pretty good and skilled in their craft, they don't do a whole lot for me personally. The Grimm Variations is an anthology series on Netflix taking 6 iconic Grimm fairy tales and telling them with a twist, either by change of genre or a change of a character, and it's pretty cool. Train to the End of the World is a hypnotically insane show that honestly deserves a video of its own. If you love Infinity Train, I guarantee you will love Train to the End of the World. Dead Cells Immortalis is another fantasy series that is pretty insane, and for as short as it is so much fun and surprisingly emotional at a few points. 'Tis Time for Torture Princess is a series about a princess who gets captured and is put through the most wholesome torture methods in the world that are just gaslighting in disguise. Princess, because of your incredibly sheltered and lonely life, today you will take the Demon King's daughter to play at the playground, but unless you tell us your kingdom's secrets, you are not allowed to play with her. Honestly, that's pretty evil. Villainess Level 99 is a fun isekai comedy about a gamer girl being reincarnated as a villainess and being so obsessed with leveling up, she becomes stronger than the Demon King. While the story isn't anything too special, just watching this gremlin not give a care about anyone or anything and say the darndest things is a lot of fun. Admittedly, I've not watched it yet, but I do want to point people in the direction of Pieces of Powder. It looks super cute and adorable, as well as deeply harrowing, and might poke at a lot of subjects like anxiety and depression. Anyway, what did you think of Murder Drones? Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time.